Allow me to express my profound gratitude and appreciation to Her Excellency Ellen Salif Johnson, Patrol of AWLN, and AWLN champion on the organizers for having me here to officiate this auspicious occasion and to have a collective reflection on the many questions that are central to address the plight of future women leaders. I'm confident that this gathering, which boasts presence of fellow stateswomen, and former stateswomen, women CEOs, young women leaders, and acclaimed experts, and our beloved brothers who are here, will be an avenue not only to share valuable insights, but will also be crucial in providing us with tangible, concrete outcomes to rapidly expand and scale up women leadership in various sectors. And in this regard, I wish to acknowledge and commend the noble role played by my dear sister, Dr. Helen Johnson Sirleaf, the former president of Liberia and Patrol of the African Women Leaders Network, for a tireless and unfaltering commitment to women's leadership and for holding this annual retreat successfully and consistently over the last 5 years. Her tireless and unfaltering commitment to women's leadership, especially the youth, is clearly reflected in the extensive preparatory work that has gone into the retreat and at the range of expertise gathered here today, without forgetting her coveted role in the Amuje program. It is indeed something that makes all of us extremely proud, and we as elders here, as elders of AWLN, must uphold and treasure this as we build a stronger support system with a younger generation of women leaders. On this note, I wish to express my government's appreciation for choosing Tanzania as your destination of choice. Karibuni sana Tanzania. Excellencies, distinguished guests, I'm witnessing firsthand the enthusiasm of our young women in the room, and to those connected, Karibuni sana. I hope in the next coming days we'll attain our goal of creating a space for enriching and enlightening discussions. I note with satisfaction the effort of AWLN in realizing the professional and human potential of women in leadership roles. It is heartening to see that the network aims at ensuring women have a voice in all spheres of life. And at this juncture, I would like to say that Tanzania greatly values partnership with AWLN, and we are keen to expand our collaboration around the empowerment of our young women through various programs in order to achieve the implementation of Agenda 2030 for Sustainable Development, AU Agenda 2063, and the Tanzanian Vision 2025. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, women face historic disadvantages such as limited access to resources, structural discrimination, restricted rights, limited mobility, and a muted voice in shaping decision-making, thus becoming highly vulnerable and marginalized. To date, social and traditional roles of childcare and household chores remain a woman's duty. These tasks have become burdensome, especially now that we are experiencing an alarming trend of overlapping crises such as deteriorating global climate change, the persistent COVID-19 pandemic, adding to those now a food and energy crisis, which are all undermining development in Africa and women in particular. We have seen the disturbing figures and reports, and here allow me to quote the SDGs Progress Gender Snapshot 2021, which indicated that the number of employed women declined to 54 million in 2020 and 45 million women left the labor market at all. It indicated that the poor become poorer with little or no social protection. Children and unpaid worker with the norm, 31 hours per week. And it reported increased food insecurity and unpaid maternity and exclusion in the major innovation and inventions. Indeed, women have significantly lost the gains of the past decade and have been threatened as never before. They faced hardship, built resilience, and are making it through. Today, we are here to fulfill our commitment to the young women. The intergenerational retreat was designed as a space where elders and young ones can co-create solutions and co-lead for a better tomorrow. The network is also committed to take responsibility for the goals of and objectives inscribed in the SDGs and Agenda 2063 and to build Africa that we want. And it is through this gathering we must solidify the fact that the achievement of 17 SDGs and its 169 targets depend on women with varying degrees. Inclusion of women in all spheres of life is not only fundamental human right, but a necessary foundation for a peaceful, prosperous, and sustainable world. I was so happy yesterday when we were doing the introduction, hearing we have one nuclear scientist amongst us, which is a very rare professional for women. But we have one here, and I believe we have many in the world. So we are trying to penetrate. We'll be there in good numbers. But let's say that one cannot talk about attainment of SDGs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, and 8 without direct correlation of the role of women. The same implies for the implementation of AU Agenda 2063 and the Tanzanian Vision 2025. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we all know that gone are the days when women were solely confined to the parameters of their homes as caregivers or employed in menial jobs. We are now witnessing a massive shift from a woman who had no right to vote to a woman who sits on the decision-making table and decides for her nation. As it was said by my daughter Chilo, who spoke for the youth, today, in most countries except the conflict-torn countries, the number of women in decision-making tables is almost half. And here, allow me to use a good example of my country to show these statistics. Women parliamentarians in Tanzania have increased from 21.5% in 2005 to 37% in 2022. We have 9 cabinet ministers, women cabinet ministers, in the fields of land, health, women and development, foreign affairs, trade and investment, tourism, youth and employment, civil service and good governance, and local government. The local government is here. And therefore, fellow women ministers, if you could stand and they see you, how many we have here. Yeah. So we are moving. Judges have increased. The High Court and referral courts, we have 47%. Districts and primary courts, we came from 34% from 2005 to 39% this year, 2022. Female ambassadors and high commissioners, from 3% in 2005 to 21% in 2022. Female regional commissioners have risen from 10% in 2005 to 23% this year. Female district commissioners from 19% in 2005 to 29% this year. These numbers speak for themselves as they indicate that we can no longer overlook the critical role the women play in our economies. Women, including young women, have proven time and time again that they are capable of leading, and we should ensure that they can do so. We even have very young politicians. We have a younger, should I call a girl or what? Leila, would you stand up? This young woman is sitting in the Central Committee of the ruling party. Yeah. So it is in this regard that I like to take this opportunity to commend the organizers of this retreat for the timely selection of the theme, African Young Women Lead, Mobilizing Partnership and Pathway for Economic Empowerment, Sustainability and Financial Inclusion, as it is evident that it is only through the inclusion of women that we are able to unlock the economic potential of the region and the world at large. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in order to make even greater progress, safeguarding meaningful participation and equal rights with full resources for women and girls is key. We need to transform gender roles and power relations while breaking barriers for women's meaningful participation at all levels of leadership and decision-making spheres, and I'm trying hard doing that. This is necessary to ensure women's financial and economic inclusion, which the African Union has set as its goal for this decade. This can only be achieved through commitment and bold actions to accelerate progress, including through the promotion of laws, policies, budgets, and institutions that advance gender equality. There is a great need for investment in gender statistics to keep track of the progress. Therefore, our advocacies must never stop, nor wither, because countless studies have shown that empowering women economically and politically leads to sustainable growth, stability, and more resilience for society as a whole. We must do just that. As Tanzania is championing the Generation Equality or Generation Equality Action Coalition on Economic Justice and Rights, I'll do my part in ensuring that young women are supported in their efforts to spur development on the continent. The Generation Equality Forum commitments we have made are essential in making progress towards attaining gender equality and the economic empowerment of women. Our priorities focus on investing in gender-responsive public and private social services, including investing in community early childhood development to help reduce women's unpaid care or care work and make women more productive. promoting decent work for women, both in the formal and informal economy. And recently, we have issued an order prescribing on minimum wage for domestic workers, workers in the hospitality industry, in agriculture, and in the manufacturing sector, to mention but a few. Our priorities are also focusing on enhancing women access, use, control, and ownership of productive resources that prioritize innovation and the use of digital economy. This includes enabling more women and access to land, women-inclusive finance, and enhancing women's entrepreneurship skills. We are also focusing on promoting gender-responsive macroeconomic plans, budget reforms, and stimulus packages that address the needs and aspirations of women, including the poor ones. Through this, the country has established and strengthened women economic empowerment platforms as an important part to attaining these aspirations. To date, we have a total of 3,088 women empowerment platforms at the village and regional levels across the country. We aim to establish national level platform which will be informed by women voices starting from the village level. Excellencies, distinguished guests, on the regional level, I'm also championing on the women and youth in trade under the African Continental Free Trade Area. Women estimated to account for 70% of informal cross-border trade in Africa. It is my wish to see that women are all positioned to tap into regional export destinations and use regional markets as stepping stones for expanding into overseas markets. And we have started doing that, but we need to expand and make it a larger business. The African Continental Free Trade Area has created a new market of 1.3 billion people across Africa. This accounts for a combined gross domestic product of US $3.4 trillion. According to the World Bank, the successful implementation of the CFTA has the potential of lifting up the 30 million Africans out of extreme poverty and increase income of 68 million Africans who live on less than $5.5 a day, the majority of whom are women and youth. Therefore, it is my hope that women will benefit from this huge market of ours. Excellencies, distinguished guests, young women are not only the future, they are the now. Yes, you are the now. They hold the keys to practical solutions and drive progress through the passion they carry towards leadership. To the young women, I say, a luta continua. You should move, my daughters, move. Move with passion, move with determination. To conclude, I call on all member states, multilateral and bilateral institutions and partners, the friends of AWLN, who we wholeheartedly thank, to redouble their efforts and provide sustained support to the network. We know that works. We have the tools and right frameworks. We all pledge to leave no one behind when adopting Agenda 2030 for sustainable development. We know the Africa we want in the AU Agenda 2063 and our national development plans. While I'm nearing concluding my speech, Let me talk something about HIV and AIDS. We had an HIV and AIDS Day here in Tanzania, presented by our sister Winnie Byanyima was there, presenting the UN AIDS. And what we noticed, the infection is going through in high speed to 15 to 24 years young women, in high speed. We have been able to reduce the death. We've been able to kufubaza wanasemaje, to suppress the power of the virus, but then the infection is still going on. And we are going to live with this pandemic for quite a long time. So may I call upon young women to work on this, to stop infection to the younger ones. Women are most infected. So please work on this as well. While you are foreseeing to be the future leaders in Africa, please stop HIV and AIDS. So the task is yours. Take actions. Finally, I should say, solidarity among us must be the rule, not the exception. Supporting fellow women, especially mentoring the younger generation, should not only be a moral imperative, but justice to humanity. Enough of rhetoric, let us walk the talk. We've been speaking for a long time, and now we have to act. I hope you continue to enjoy the generosity and hospitality of our people here in Zanzibar, here in Tanzania. With a warm heart, we say, karibuni tena Tanzania, karibuni sana. Thank you very much, and thank you for listening.